Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the $150 a week investing series. Today we got a little bit of a interesting video. Market cap exploding, the prices of so many skins doubling, tripling, quadrupling in price in a matter of months. So this series and I guess this video in general is starting to get controversial because we are in a seller's market at this point. We've been in a seller's market. But items still keep getting pumped. People have been saying that you should have sold your EG hollows at $50, and people started saying you got to sell at $120, and now they're sitting at like $300 almost Steam market price. If you're in this for the long term though, I would be careful on which items you want to sell, and I would keep the best of your stuff. But a lot of items still that have tripled in price, quadrupled in price, I personally would take a look at getting rid of those, especially factory new play skins. There's many examples of factory new play skins from regular old cases, like the Point Disarray factory new. This is a massive example. The leaded glass and factory new. This is not a rare skin at all. Sitting at $338 on Skinport, absolutely ridiculous. Latest sales, 296, 315, 332. These are ridiculous prices, unheard of prices. This is a $31 skin for its entire lifetime. $12, $10, $15. So if you have skins like this, sell them right away. This is unheard of prices, massive market manipulation on these prices. This is from the Spectrum 2 case. The supply on this skin is insane. So if you have skins that are in factory new condition, I would take a look at them and take a look at the prices on Steam or Skinport and consider selling. See, if we take a look at the price gap between factory new and minimal wear, $338 compared to $43. And then if you look at this, the factory new version is more expensive than the StatTrak factory new version by a large margin. $213 compared to $338, and StatTrak skins are 10 times rarer than its counterpart in non-StatTrak. And if we look at the supply, 851,000 in total, so that's a crap ton. But the reason why factory new is so easy to manipulate, it's such a small window to hit in the float range to get a factory new skin. So factory new skins are much rarer than any of the other conditions except well-worn. So that's why sometimes well-worn skins are more expensive than field-tested or even minimal wear sometimes. StatTrak well-worn skins can sometimes be even more expensive than the factory new skins. But that's besides the point. 88,000 compared to 850,000 for the total supply. So it's very easy to manipulate these factory new skins. When I'm trying to build my CSGO loadout and I'm picking out all my skins, this is always my method, is I'm buying factory new skins because they are much rare. I think that if it's so much better to fork up the money to get a factory new skin rather than getting a minimal wear skin, and even worse, getting like a low wear minimal wear skin. It's so much better to just get a factory new skin because of the less quantity that there is for factory new skins. And as well, I always look to get skins from operation cases, discontinued collections. So if you get factory new skins from discontinued collections for your loadout in general is always going to go up in value over time compared to other skins if you have some field tested skins and minimal wear skins and just random stuff in your loadout. So targeting factory new skins will always be better for you. But this is why the market is so controversial right now. I've always thought that this was a great investment, the Black Lotus. It's from the Riptide collection. It's a great looking USP skin. I have one in my personal collection and I have rocks glitters across the top. I think it's very pretty. And this is one of my favorite skins in the game. And in factory new, since it's a lot rare, it's a lot easier to pump. the price is already pumping up. I was thinking about putting this in an episode, but at these prices, it's just hard for me to tell people that this is a good investment when you could have bought this for, $12, $13, $14 a couple months ago, and it's at 22. And if you want to make a significant investment, you're going to be paying a lot more. The StatTrack factory new version of this hasn't gone up too much though. You can pick them up for like 45, 50. So I think that would still be a good investment. But overall, the whole market is rising in price very quickly. And again, we are in a seller's market, and it's getting harder and harder to find these snipes and being able to buy and invest in the market safely without, gambling in a sense. I don't think it's necessarily too late to invest into the gallery case. I think down the line it's going to be much more expensive than it is right now. I think it's probably going to be a $2 case one day. Relatively soon, maybe a year and a half, 2 years from now, it'll be a $2 case. But I think that lower price point was where you wanted to buy. And buying at these higher prices right now, I think is a little bit silly. I think that prices are going to come down pretty soon. Because Valve announced that the case is going to get discontinued, people are stacking up their armory stars and farming in a bit of a panic before the case gets discontinued from the armory. So there's going to be an influx of cases that are on trade hold right now that are going to come and flood the market, and that's when you can try to find some snipes. But me personally, I do have less than I thought I did, which is a little bit sad, but 991 in this storage unit, 995, and 500 in this storage unit. So lots and lots and lots of gallery cases. Very nice. But yeah, just in gallery cases, since that announcement came out on Twitter, I think I've pretty much doubled my money. So I bought around 65 cents-ish, 60 cents, and then some taxes and fees hidden there. So I guess we can say about 70 cents. And then right now they're listed at a little bit above $1.40. So I already did the calculation. This is worth $3,800 right now. Paid around $1,800. Made $1,800 pretty much overnight. And again, theoretical money. You never actually have made profit until you cash out and sell. So this can always go back down to zero, theoretically. Yeah. Talk about price pumps. I think it's any day now that the Canals collection and the Prince is going to have its moment. If you look at other skins, like the Gold Arabesque even, doubling in price from $3,000 to $6,000. Everybody thought that $3,000 was already a crazy price point, doubling to $6,000. And I don't know, it's not an ugly skin. I don't really understand why this collection is so slept on. But this is by far, by a large margin, the rarest covert collection skin. Rarer than the Gungnir, rarer than the Wild Lotus, rarer than the Dragon Lore, Havoc collection, all of those. So, only 2,700 of these in existence. So, talking about rare items and scarcity and pumping items, I think that this collection is going to be very easy to pump. And it's the rarest collection. I think that gives it merit enough to be investable. The golden question here. While the market is exploding in price, there's still people who want to get in on this action and buy in and try to profit off the CS2 market. Not everybody wants to sell right now and try to cash out. People still want to be invested into the CS2 market. So where can you put your money safely to invest into the CS2 market? I think that question is very easily answered if we look at our portfolio right now. I think that the worst items, the worst performing items in our portfolio could be the best because they happen to be cases, which objectively has always been a fantastic investment. Specifically the cheaper rare cases. The clutch case, Snakebite, Prisma 2 gaining a little bit. It was red last time we looked at it, which was just yesterday when I released my market update video. The Prisma 2 was in the red. The Prisma 2 as well being my favorite cheap rare case out of, the Danger Zone, the Clutch, Horizon, I guess. the Prisma 2 is my favorite cheap rare case. As well, the Gamma 2 case staying flatlined, it's my favorite rare case. So both of my favorite cases are basically on sale right now, and that is most likely what I'm going to put most of our money into this episode in our investing series. As well, I completely forgot about this, the giveaway. So I hit 1,000 subscribers, and we've well surpassed it at this point, sitting at 1,100 subscribers. Pretty insane growth. So I already told this story yesterday, but I tried to buy a Glock Axia factory new for the giveaway because I wanted to give away an investment, but I wanted it to be a skin, so it wouldn't be too boring. And then the person canceled the sale on me because it was announced that collections were getting discontinued out of the armory. So the price pumped up a little bit, and yeah, they canceled the sale on me. So I just got a little bit discouraged with that. So I just didn't want to buy another Glock Axia for a higher price a day later. So I went with another investment that I think is a great investment, is Gamma 2 cases. So for the giveaway, I'm going to be giving away $100 of Gamma 2 cases, which happens to be 30 Gamma 2 cases. Nice even number. So that came out to like $105, something like that. But 30 Gamma 2 cases, that's going to be the giveaway. I think it's going to be a great start to someone's portfolio. Hopefully it goes out to like a newer guy and not someone who already has like a $5,000 inventory or something. But, fair is fair. If you win and you already have skins, good for you. But I hope it goes to someone out there with nothing in their inventory to, get them started. I think that'd be pretty cool. So, anyways, another thing I just want to look at real quick. Since this portfolio, this whole series is kind of a case study, I'm not really selling anything. A lot of normal people would be selling in certain circumstances. So, we want to look at our investments over time, which is why I'm not selling anything. And, so I want to look at the Renegade's Glitter. Last night, it was around 500% gains, sitting at, it was at like 60 cents, some even selling for around 70 cents on CSGO Float, and right now they're just sitting at 44 cents. So, another lesson, profits never profit until you actually sell. So, if you hold something too long, you could get burnt. This technically, it's not getting burnt because it's still up 340%, but sometimes people ride the wave too long and end up cashing out for not as much as they could have if they weren't to be as greedy. Which has happened to me before. I have a lot of glove cases which I didn't sell when they peaked at $20. In hindsight, I should have sold all my glove cases at $20 a piece, and I could have bought right back in at like $11.45, which is where we bought in. So that would have been a beautiful scenario. Sell all my glove cases for $20, buy in at $11.45. But sometimes it's safer to just hold. Just for people that are new here, I'm going to give a brief explanation of why these cases are my favorite. Prisma 2 case I like because, first, the unboxing number is 455,000 compared to even something like the Snakebite case, which is much cheaper, sitting at only 625,000. And then compared to the Danger Zone case, 461. So very similar unboxed numbers to the Danger Zone case, and then more unboxed numbers than the Clutch case, which makes sense because the Clutch case has the same exact golds as the Revolution case, which is an active duty case that you can buy for 60 cents. So that holds back the Clutch case a bit, even though a rare case sharing the same golds as a case in the active duty doesn't always have the worst, it doesn't always have a completely dampening effect. Cases can still thrive with having the same golds as an active duty case. But then I personally just prefer the golds in the Prisma 2 over the Danger Zone. And then I kind of prefer over the Clutch case golds. The Clutch case, of course, you can get Vice gloves. That's always a bonus. Vice gloves are very nice. But Prisma 2 has always been my favorite. And then for the rare cases, Gamma 2 cases being my favorite because I think that the Gamma knives are just more exclusive and better. Looking at something like the Riptide case and the Dreams and Nightmares case being very, very expensive. Dreams and Nightmares case being the most expensive active duty case, and of course the Riptide case being like a $13 case minimum. So Gamma 2 cases and Gamma cases having very, very desirable golds in the Emerald finishes. But also very acceptable unboxing numbers, 194,000, compared to a very popular case like the Chroma 2 case, sitting at 271,000. So not too big of a difference in unboxing numbers. Either way, as I've said multiple times throughout this series, you can't really go wrong with any of the rare cases, and I'm invested into a multitude of these rare cases. I have Chroma 3, Gamma, Gamma 2, Glove, Spectrum. I even have Vanguards and Weapon Case 3s, all sorts of random cases. So it's good to have a spread, but sometimes it's better to focus in onto one or two cases, or a handful of cases maybe. And Chroma 2, Gamma 2, Spectrum 2, those are always my favorite rare cases. And then Clutch, Danger Zone, Prisma 2 are my favorite rare, cheap rare cases. Snakebite is, acceptable, I guess. It's not my favorite. And again, to talk about, some speculation, the Fracture case and the Recoil case being prime targets to be removed very soon from the active drop pool. I personally think that the Fracture case is going to be the one that gets removed. At this point, I think it has... Oh no, doesn't have less. It does have more unboxed numbers than the Recoil case, but it's just so old at this point. I think it almost has to get removed. So, the Fracture case, very good opportunity, I guess. It is already preemptively pumped up because people expect the Fracture case and the Recoil case to get removed at some point soon. So, there is that to look out for. But that being said, the Fracture case and the Recoil case have insane supplies, like hundreds of millions. So the price will spike when one of these gets discontinued, but it will very, very quickly spike right back down. And that's kind of the price that you want to be buying at when that first initial spike happens, and then it plummets down in value. So again, with everything in the market being up, stickers being up massively, filler skins even being up, armory skins being up massively now, 60% on this, doubling my money on gallery cases. There's just not really that many opportunities at this exact moment in time. You could either just wait to invest your money, which would be a smart idea, or invest into cases, which is the safest investment that you can possibly make right now at this moment into the CS2 market. And so that's what I'm going to be doing for this week's episode of our investing series, is investing all $150 into Prisma 2 cases and Gamma 2 cases, my two favorite cases. So looking at this price, I think this is just such a beautiful price point to get in. This graph is so juicy, being pretty much exactly where you want this trajectory. So I made this tag already in a video before, that the CS2 case market's about to explode. The glove case is already starting to take off, but I think these other expensive rare cases are soon to follow, like the Spectrum 2 and the Gamma 2, Chroma 2. Chroma 2 is also down. Chroma 2 is also a very, very good choice. But Gamma 2 just being my preference out of the two. So I'm going to put $70 into the Gamma 2 case, or 20 cases. Actually, very nice even numbers. I kind of like that. But we already have a lot of Gamma 2 cases in our portfolio. So, I just want to add a little bit more Prisma 2 cases and dip our toes a little bit more into that Prisma 2 market, instead of making it like $100 Gamma 2 and $50 Prisma 2, which is what I was thinking before. So we're going to put another $75, $80 into the Prisma 2 case. So there we go, 51 cases. Brings us out to $150.68. So again, everybody just make sure you look out for this giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 30 Gamma 2 cases. I said that already, but, I'm pretty excited. I'm in the position to, start doing giveaways, and I'm pretty pretty excited about all of this. As well, sorry for being a little bit more not inconsistent, but I was a little bit late on this video, and a little bit late on my last video. I worked 60 hours this week. You know, it's hard to balance work and trying to be a YouTuber. So, yeah, I do work a lot of hours. Sometimes I work under 40 hours, but there's some weeks where I do have those longer weeks, working like 11 hours, which kind of sucks. But here we are, pumping out this content, and all that money that I make in that overtime goes right back into the CS2 market to make me more money, making me richer, so I can't really complain about all that, can I? This one, there's not really that much to say. You know, the market is spiking, everything's up. You know, be careful when cashing out. It's not always the best idea to cash out versus holding in the long term. If you consider selling and buying fees, all of that, and the risk that you get left out on your investment that you believed in the first place because of you doubting yourself while looking at the price and looking at these gains that you could be cashing in on, and then you get nervous, you get cold feet, you want to cash in on those gains. You know, that's normal. But if you really are really about this investing game, most of the time, investing in the long term is the best move. If you are investing into good items with good fundamentals, something like cases. So specifically with the gallery case, I would not be selling right now. Even me, where I've doubled my money and made a theoretical $1,800, I'm not selling right now. I'm going to be holding these for the long term. Probably 2 years from now, I'll be selling my gallery cases. I'm not going to be selling right now, even though I could double my money. A lot of the time, it takes a very, very strong will and, you know, a lot of balls, a steel set of balls to make a lot of money. If you look at something like Cato 14, people who invested all the way back in 2014, you know, throughout the years, sitting on those capsules, sitting on that money, they see the capsule hit $10 after they've invested in for 25 cents. They're like, wow, that's an insane price. That's a lot of profit I could make. And then they decide to keep holding. And then another year passes and the capsule hits $50. And they're like, holy shit, I could get a knife with this. And some people kept holding. And then the capsule hits $200, then $500, then $1,000. And people are going to be selling throughout those times. But there's the rare set of people that have held since 2014 and went from 25 cents to $25,000 capsule. So, and there's other examples like that in not the CSGO world. You know, Bitcoin, you know, the famous story about the guy who spent 10,000 Bitcoin on 2 pizzas, something like that. You know, Bitcoin's at one point hit like $70,000. Some people held from the beginning. You know, it takes a lot of guts to make a lot of money while investing into risky items like this. Sometimes it's better to hold for the long term. Either way, guys, thank you for all the support, and wish you guys happy investing. I wish you guys safe investing. Don't invest money that you can't lose. Only invest money that is expendable to you and you don't need immediately. You don't want to be able to, or you don't want to be forced to sell out of an investment early, even if you believe in it, just because bills happen or your car breaks down. Make sure you have an emergency fund before you start investing into something like CS2. Just be very safe, be very smart, only invest what you can afford to lose. All of those rules. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the support. Have a good night.